Has it started yet? Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I call this fourth plenary session to order. Excellencies, delegates, in my absence yesterday to attend to rather very urgent matters, I was ably represented by my good friend, Her Excellency Miss Sylvia Elena Alfaro Espinoza, the Ambassador of Peru and Vice President of the ATT Bureau. I thank her so very, very much for doing an excellent job. I mean, she did what I thought was impossible. She actually saved us a bit of time. And we'll use a template going forward to make sure that we don't have any backlog. Thank you so very much, Excellency. Thank you. Thank you for the great job. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Excellencies, the distinguished delegates, we completed agenda item number 9 yesterday, and by doing so, as I mentioned, we were able to save time to allow us to start today's proceedings with agenda item 10 on matters pertaining to the 8th Conference of States Parties. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, so we now proceed to this agenda item. To commence, I would like to focus on the date and duration of the next conference. In terms of Rule 1, Rule 11.1 of the ATT Rules of Procedure, and I quote, at each ordinary session, the conference shall decide on the date and duration of the next ordinary session. In view of the tight disarmament calendar, the previous conferences were held either in the second half of August, example CSP1, CSP2, CSP4, CSP5, CSP6, and CSP7, or the first half of September, example CSP3, for a period of 5 days. Guided by this history and availability of conference facilities, the Secretariat advises me that the dates of 22 to 26 August 2022, for a period of 5 days, have been tentatively reserved for CSP8 at this conference facility, a venue generously made available to the ATT by the government of Switzerland. These dates are, of course, subject to confirmation by this conference. In deliberating about the question of the conference and duration, date and duration, I encourage all delegates to keep this background information in mind. Rule number 11.2 of the Rules of Procedure provides that the venue of the next conference shall also be decided at the preceding ordinary session, taking into consideration the importance of promoting the universalization of the treaty. Rule 11 further states that in the absence of the decision on the venue of the next session, the default position is to hold the conference at the seat of the ATT Secretariat, which is Geneva, Switzerland. Furthermore, Rule 11.3 of the Rules of Procedure directs that a state party wishing to host an ordinary session shall submit an offer to the Secretariat no less than 45 days prior to the decision being taken. The Secretariat informs me that by the set deadline of 12 July 2021, no state party had indicated an intention to host CSP8. The position remains the same up to this point as I'm speaking. In view of this situation, the CSP8 provisional budget and its elements as contained in the submitted provisional ATT budget estimate has been prepared on the assumption that CSP8 will take place in Geneva in 2022. In addition, the CSP8 provisional budget provides for 2 states a series of working groups meetings and informal preparatory meetings, including cost for documents translation and in-session interpretation. The dates for working groups meetings and informal preparatory meetings will, as per established practice, be determined by the CSP8 president in consultation with the vice president and the ATT secretariat. With this background, I open this sub-item for discussion and invite views from delegations. Before delegations take up this call, I would like to invite Turkey. I'm informed Turkey wants to make a very short statement, possibly in reaction to a statement previously made. Could we have the representative of Turkey, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Turkey expresses its appreciation to you and the Secretariat for their dedication and relentless efforts in ensuring that the treaty continues to fulfill its mandate and objectives, especially during these challenging times. Mr. President, Turkey is a member of the Westerner Arrangement and Missile Technology Control Regime, which are effective mechanisms for controlling the transfer of conventional weapons and dual-use equipment and technologies. Turkey meticulously implements her commitments stemming from international export control regimes. Turkey has continued to submit reports annually to the UN Register of Conventional Arms. For example, Turkey is among the 35 countries that deliver its major conventional arms import-export, as well as the 30 countries that deliver its small arms and light weapons import-export in 2020. This information could be obtained from the UNROCA. As written in Article 13 of the ATT, I would like to remind you that it is a legitimate right to keep commercially sensitive or national security information. Civilian people have gone through unimaginable suffering, misery, and loss due to the brutal attacks of the regime, including through indiscriminate use of barrel bombs and chemical weapons. More than 60% of Syria's pre-war population were forced to flee their homes during the Syrian conflict. We couldn't and shall not leave these people at the mercy of the regime. Turkey has been hosting 3.7 million Syrians. Together with 5 million Syrians on the other side of the border, we are looking after the needs of almost 9 million Syrians. We would also like to underline our resolve to fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including Daesh and PKK-YPG. Our presence in Syria is a barrier to humanitarian crisis and renewed mass migration and secures voluntary returns. Almost 450,000 Syrians returned to their homes. Any disarmament forums due to should be promote cooperation between countries. It shouldn't be exploited for expressing baseless claims. Otherwise, it will lead to politicization and make the forum dysfunctional, as seen in many other disarmament forums nowadays. I thank you, Mr. President.
And I thank you, Turkey. Thank you for your statement. The list I have for speakers on this agenda item is very short. In fact, I have only one currently. Control arms, you take the floor, please. Well, it seems that control arms is also declining the offer. Will any other delegation wish to take the floor on the agenda item? This does not seem to be the case. I take it that the conference is comfortable to adopt. Number one, the proposed dates of 22-26 August 2022 to hold CSP8 in Geneva, Switzerland. And number two, the proposed CSP8 budget, including the cost for documents translation and in-section interpretation for the working groups meetings. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now turn my attention to the election of the president and vice presidents of the 8th Conference of States Parties. Rule 9.1 of the Rules of Procedure provides that, and I quote, before the end of each ordinary session, the conference shall elect a president and 4 vice presidents for the following session. End of quote. In terms of Rule 9.2 of the Rules of Procedure, these officers of the conference shall commence their terms of office at the closure of the section in which they were elected until their successors are elected at the following ordinary session. Delegations will remember that during my opening remarks on Monday, I urged states parties to start the necessary consultations on this matter in order to facilitate the election of the CSP8 office holders, according to the established practice. The following nominations have been presented to me prior to and during the course of this conference. Number one, Germany has been nominated for the position of the president of this 8th Conference of States Parties. 2, Japan, Latvia, Mexico, and South Africa have been nominated for the positions of the 4 vice presidents of the 8th Conference of States Parties. With this information, I open this sub-item for discussion and invite views from delegations. I do not have a list of prior speakers who've indicated they will speak on this agenda item, so I open the floor to all members, delegates, to say something if they have anything to say. This does not seem to be the case. May I take it that delegates are, at the end of this conference, in a position to elect the nominated CSP8 office bearers as presented? I see so. Thank you. Thank you very much, delegates. We are proceeding quite fast with this. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now invite the conference to consider the establishment of any subsidiary bodies as may be necessary to improve the functioning of the treaty as per provisions of Article 17.4 of the treaty. During my opening remarks under agenda item number 3, organization work, I pointed out that the term of the current management committee comes to an end at this conference. Section 3 of the management committee's terms of reference provides that, with the exception of the president of the Conference of States Parties and a secretariat representative, members of the management committee shall have a period of 2 years with eligibility to serve a further term. This means that the two-year term of the current members of the management committee comes to an end at the conclusion of this conference. Delegates will also remember that on Monday, I urged states parties to start the necessary consultations on this matter in order to facilitate the appointment of members of the management committee, according to the UN regional groups. The following nominations have been presented to me prior to and during the course of this conference. For the African group, South Africa has been nominated to serve. For the Asia Pacific group, Republic of Korea has been nominated to serve. For the Eastern European group, Czech Republic has nominated to serve. For the Western European group, the United Kingdom, I'm just being informed. For the Latin American group and Caribbean group, Costa Rica has been nominated to serve. With respect to other subsidiary bodies, I remind delegates that the mandates of the other ATT subsidiary bodies persist, and there is no requirement for their establishment. I now open this sub-item up for discussion and invite views from the delegations. The floor is open. I can see that Control Arms is now ready to speak on the previous press item. Control Arms, you have the floor, please.
Well, Mr. President, this is, you know, sort of a challenging moment, and you know, is kind of the challenges between of a hybrid meeting and communicating with those who are online, and you know, I can't really blame technical challenges either, because here I am here in person. So it's you know, a somewhat embarrassing moment, but this is just a general statement on the way forward. And I certainly didn't want to interrupt the flow of decisions being taken here. But just to say, Mr. President, that we have really enjoyed this year working with you. We've very much appreciated your convening this conference on states parties, and you know, showing that the Arms Trade Treaty is back in force, and you know, our appreciation to your team as well. And moving forward next year towards CSP7, we really welcome the opportunity to work with Germany, and you know, very much hope that an inclusive process, which is at the heart of the treaty, will continue. Just a couple of remarks on future conferences of states parties, and these are an important opportunity to review progress, reach conclusions, and collectively determine the way forward on universalisation, implementation and compliance, essentially to check in on the health of the convention. One point that we've raised before, and that we are raising again, is that in the future we hope that there would be an opportunity to take stock of progress achieved against recommendations and commitments relating to the thematic focus of each CSP cycle, without setting aside time to discuss progress made on the various thematic focus commitments year to year. There is a danger that with every new theme, states parties will lose momentum on the important work completed in prior years. And so, you know, we would hope in future years to build on the very good work laid in your own paper, Mr. President. And then our second point is, you know, clearly the COVID-19 pandemic continues to upend meeting schedules across all multilateral institutions and instruments. Particularly, you know, we've witnessed in the disarmament community, while we understand much of this overlap has been unavoidable, the multitude of meetings taking place during this week has had a negative impact on the engagement in this conference. And, you know, Control Arms hopes that efforts are, you know, undertaken by the office holders and secretariats to, where possible, avoid overlapping meetings. So thank you very much for indulging me, Mr. President, and for taking this this statement later on under another agenda item. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Control Arms. Thank you for the kind sentiments, and thank you for the practical assistance in the lecture support that you gave to this presidency. As I said, I hope that the next president will certainly exploit the enormous resources the civil society networks bring to our work. Thank you. The floor is still open. Will any other delegation wish to take the floor? This does not seem to be the case. May I take it that the conference is comfortable to adopt the nominations to the management committee as presented? I think so. I would like to thank delegations for their continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now turn my attention to agenda item 11. Consideration and adoption of the final report of the 7th Conference of States Parties. Okay. So the report is out there on the screen. So and it is a very important one. I think we have to pay careful attention, and hopefully we go through it as quickly as possible. And as we go through this report, some parts will be taking decisions on an entire section of the document, while other parts will be considered on paragraph by paragraph basis. With this explanation, I would now like to turn to the first section, the introduction. The introduction includes a mandate for this conference as set out in Article 17 of the treaty, and also reflects the informal preparatory process that preceded this conference. May I take it that the introduction is adopted? It is so decided. The next section concerns the organization of the 7th Conference of States Parties. This paragraph recognizes the role of the ATT Secretariat in the organization of this meeting, as well as the delegation information in terms of number and names of delegations that attended this conference. I would like to ask delegations to turn their attentions to paragraph 9. We are on paragraph 9. Are there any delegations which are not listed down these paragraphs? 9 to 10 to 9 to 10. I have been informed that Costa Rica would like to take the floor. Costa Rica, you have the floor, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. No sé si prefieren terminar con la revisión de las secciones del reporte, porque nuestro comentario es una observación general al mismo, entonces podemos esperar hasta que finalicen con la adopción del reporte. Gracias.
That's very kind of you, Costa Rica. We shall do so. So we are now on paragraph 10. Paragraph 11. Yeah. So on paragraph 10, I take it that it is accepted. Paragraph 11 is a much longer one. The floor is open for that. I see no objection. Paragraph 12. Floor is open on that. No objection. Paragraph 13. I see no objection. As adopted. Paragraph 14. Adopted. No objection. Paragraph 15. Adopted. Paragraph 16. That's 15. Okay. How do you scroll this down? Okay. 16, I see no objection. Paragraph 17. Adopted, no objection. Paragraph 18. Adopted, no objection. We come now to decisions and recommendations. We are on paragraph 19. Adopted. Paragraph 20, adopted. Paragraph 21, under paragraph 21, you've got a number of sub-paragraphs. You've got A of paragraph 21, adopted, no objection. B of paragraph 21, adopted, no objection. C of paragraph 21, adopted, no objection. D of paragraph 21, adopted, no objections. E of paragraph 21, adopted, no objection. I must smile in triumph. Thank you very much. Thank you. So the working paper is adopted. Thank you, delegates. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you very much for this overwhelming support. Thank you. I now move on to paragraph 22. Adopted, no objection. And under 22A, paragraph 22A, adopted, no objection. 22B, adopted, no objection. 22C, adopted, no objection. 22D, adopted, no objection. 22, are we on D? Adopted. 22E, adopted, no objection. And 22F. No objection there. Oh, thanks. I think we'll make very rapid progress too. Thank you. We are now on 23, paragraph 23. Adopted, no objection. Paragraph 24. Adopted, no objection. Paragraph 25. Adopted, no objection. Paragraph 26. Now 26A. Adopted, no objection. Okay. I see that South Africa has raised a flag. South Africa, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. I think it's just important for South Africa to make a statement. Unfortunately, we couldn't complete our statement yesterday. So let me just say, as indicated yesterday, South Africa is supportive of proposed changes to the templates that would address, as the report stated in para 26, the most urgent clarification, user-friendliness, gaps and inconsistencies identified in the current templates. However, South Africa has previously expressed concern over reporting burdens across the disarmament treaty spectrum. As indicated yesterday, South Africa does not agree that the finalization of the draft templates is urgent. We would like to reiterate that the proposed new addition to the section is not legally binding, and we will interpret it as such, meaning that we reserve the right to disregard this addition when submitting our reports in terms of Article 13. My delegation hereby requests that the statement that we've delivered yesterday be included as an annexure to the final report of the CSP7 as part of its official records. I thank you.
I thank your objection. South Africa. So there is one member state objection there. Could we? Thank you again, South Africa. I would like to get an indication from South Africa whether their objection is to this paragraph is absolute, whether they are entering a note to be noted, a point to be noted, but allow the paragraph to be retained and to go through to be endorsed. Whether they are really insisting that changes must be made before it is adopted. Clarify that position, South Africa, please.
Mr. President, it's basically just so that it's noted, it's in the record. But as I've said earlier, we are basically abstaining from adopting the report, but as far as we are concerned, we are flexible on the matter. I thank you.
I thank you, South Africa. Do we have any other delegations taking the floor on this paragraph in its entirety? I begin again from 26A. The floor is open. Delegations, if there is any objection to it or adopted. 26B. Adopted. 26C. Adopted. 26D. Adopted. 26E. Adopted. F. G. Adopted. H. Adopted. I. Adopted. I take it that paragraph 26 is also adopted. Thank you. Thank you very much, with the caveat to be noted from South Africa. I now move on to paragraph 27. Again, we'll go through the different subparagraphs. Paragraph 27A. Adopted. B. Adopted. C. Adopted. Thank you. We are on to paragraph 28. As previously, we will go through it by subparagraphs. So 28A. Adopted. B. Adopted. C. Adopted. D. Adopted. E. Adopted. F. Adopted. G. Adopted. H. Adopted. I congratulate Argentina, my good friend, Ambassador Villegas. Thank you. It's been a long journey, but I'm glad it got completed under my presidency. Congratulations, Argentina. I think it's an excellent job. We move now on to all right, we are now on to paragraph 29. Any objections on the floor? None. Adopted. Paragraph 30. None. 31. We are on 31. This is, it's not moving. All right. Adopted. To paragraph 32. So it's not going on. We're on 32. Adopted. And 33. Seems to be no objection. 34. Adopted. We are now on 35. Paragraph 35. Adopted. 36. No objection. Adopted. 37. Adopted. 38. Yeah. Kindly note.
Sorry. Mr. Chair, just in the, to correct in the composition of the management committee, it says Costa Rica TBC. So just to correct that, paragraph 37. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to say that. So it is confirmed that Costa Rica is there and representing the Caribbean and the Latin American countries, the Czech Republic, Republic of Korea, and South Africa. Thank you. Thank you. Adopted. We are on paragraph 38. Paragraph 38. Adopted. 39. Great. You are all thanking me. Yes, I also thank you for being cooperative. Thank you very much. Paragraph 40, our last paragraph. Final paragraph. Adopted. Excellencies, delegates, I realize that there are people in different time zones and all over the world, and I might have gone through this report very quickly. The progressive has been time saving, but I would like to open the floor in case there are any delegates who may like to say something and didn't have a chance because of the very fast pace with which we moved forward with the report. The floor is open. I see South Africa wants to say something. Yes.
No, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to correct the report as it was. I think it paragraph 38, the to be confirmed, the United Kingdom. And then the other one will basically just be technical, because our intervention, I may have made it a little bit too early because of the speed that you was going through the report. With your permission, I know it won't be reflected in the final report, but I just wanted you now to make the point that we actually sort of jumped the gun, I think 2 or 3 sub paragraphs before the issue was under discussion. So I thank you, Mr. Chair.
South Africa, can you kindly repeat? The audio was slightly inaudible.
No, it's basically related to some of the paragraphs that you've corrected already, because when I raised my flag, the UK was still reflected there as to be confirmed, and I was just wondering or trying to prevent a situation where you gavel and then we've got a report that was technically not correct. And the other one was just a technical thing. It's not a major issue. It's basically the other one just dealt with alignment of our statement, but it's not a major issue. We can even do it afterwards if it's not really we don't foresee any difficulties or complications with it. So I'm even prepared to withdraw that remark. I thank you.
I thank you. Yes, I will encourage this matter to be taken up with the working group on a bilateral basis. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have an announcement confirming the decision taken during that consultation. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you. I see Mexico wants to take the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. En nombre de la Delegación de México, deseo expresar nuestro reconocimiento y agradecimiento por el arduo labor que usted ha realizado para garantizar la continuidad de los trabajos de esta conferencia y para lograr los avances que hemos tenido hoy. En general, también deseamos hacer una mención de aprecio a la vicepresidencia de Perú, que durante este ciclo ha coordinado las posturas de nuestra región de una manera muy dedicada, puntual y eficiente. Asimismo, agradecemos al Grupo de América Latina y el Caribe por el apoyo brindado a mi país en la nominación para ocupar una de las vicepresidencias durante el ciclo correspondiente a la 8ª Conferencia de Estados Parte. Confiamos en que vamos a contribuir con una participación activa de la región en los temas que discutimos actualmente en el ATT. Nos congratulamos también por las nominaciones de Alemania como presidente de la próxima conferencia y Japón, Letonia y Sudáfrica como vicepresidentes. A Sudáfrica en particular agradecemos su flexibilidad para lograr la adopción del reporte y entendemos que su declaración quedará registrada en las actas del mismo. Nos congratulamos también por que la próxima presidencia, si bien está por definir un tema, pueda apoyar la realización de la primera reunión oficial del Foro de Intercambio de Información sobre Desvío. Como hemos indicado en distintos momentos durante esta conferencia, las armas pequeñas y ligeras son de especial relevancia para México, ya que su desvío y el tráfico ilícito constituyen un flagelo que afecta profundamente al país, así como a toda la región de América Latina y el Caribe y a las subregiones del continente americano. En este sentido, y en seguimiento de las deliberaciones, continuaremos con los esfuerzos para erradicar el comercio ilícito de armas pequeñas y ligeras y para garantizar una gestión eficiente de las existencias. México reitera su respaldo al trabajo realizado durante esta sesión, así como al trabajo que realizaremos para lograr una exitosa CSP8 en el futuro. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mexico. Thank you for the very pertinent statement. This now concludes. Is there any other delegation wishing to take the floor? Oh, I see Costa Rica again. Yes, thank you.
Gracias, señor presidente. Costa Rica toma la palabra para reiterar nuestro agradecimiento por la labor realizada durante esta conferencia, que consolida importantes avances para el régimen del ATT, y para agradecer particularmente el borrador del informe, ya que destaca elementos de vital importancia como la cooperación internacional en la gestión de las transferencias de armas pequeñas y ligeras y sus municiones, así como la necesidad de construir sobre las sinergias con otros instrumentos, particularmente el Protocolo de Armas de Fuego de la Convención de Palermo, el POA, y la Agenda para el Desarrollo Sostenible. También resaltamos y agradecemos los pronunciamientos de México y Perú y otras delegaciones que a lo largo de la semana han visibilizado el impacto del tráfico ilícito de armas en países no productores, particularmente en nuestra región. Es sin duda necesario redoblar esfuerzos para contener y atenuar el tráfico ilícito y el desvío de armas, realidad que es una amenaza directa para toda la comunidad internacional, ya que vulnera la consecución de los ODS. Al respecto, deseamos subrayar que la responsabilidad no recae exclusivamente en países importadores en materia de resguardo de municiones. Es necesario enfatizar y seguir abogando por un enfoque integral y de responsabilidad compartida entre todos los actores que intervienen en el ciclo de las armas pequeñas y ligeras. Además, en línea con nuestra posición en otros foros, resaltamos la importancia de atender de manera integral e indivisible la gestión de las armas pequeñas y ligeras y sus municiones, así como incluir la importancia del fortalecimiento del análisis de riesgo en la exportación de armas pequeñas y ligeras y sus municiones. La complejidad del tráfico ilícito plantea la necesidad de prestar una atención cada vez mayor a la cadena de ciclo de producción, transferencia, uso, almacenamiento de armas pequeñas ligeras y sus municiones. Antes de cerrar esta intervención, Costa Rica aprovecha la oportunidad para reiterar nuestro más profundo agradecimiento y compromiso con el BTF, la Unión Europea, BAFA y la Fundación Arias para la Paz y el Progreso Humano. Su asistencia técnica es fundamental para la implementación y la consolidación de los procesos establecidos por el ATT en mi país. Señor presidente, mientras existan flujos ilegales de armas, es imperativo mejorar los controles. Es responsabilidad de todos por igual asegurar que los ciclos de transferencia sean seguros y transparentes en todas sus etapas. Con estas palabras, Costa Rica reitera su respaldo a los consensos logrados en esta CSP7. Muchas gracias.
And thank you very much, Costa Rica. Thank you. Next on my list is China.
谢谢主席先生。中国代表团祝贺会议取得成功。对主席塞拉利昂大使，塞纳格里大使，1年来为提升条约普遍化，为推进履约以及其他各项工作所做出的努力表示感谢。中国代表团同时还对秘书处1年来的工作表示感谢。对德国当选为第8次缔约国大会主席表示祝贺。中国愿与各方一道，共同致力于加强条约各方面工作，构建规范合理的武器贸易秩序，妥善解决武器非法转让问题，为建设一个持久和平、普遍安全的世界做出我们的贡献。再次表示感谢，谢谢主席。
Thank you very much, China. Next on my list, I have South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me start by thanking you for steering the meeting to a final conclusion. I also like to thank all the state parties for entrusting South Africa as a member of the management committee. We also would like to extend our thanks and appreciation to the coordinators of the various working groups. We also appreciate the statement by Mexico for expressing appreciation for our flexibility. We also would like to congratulate the Secretariat for organizing a very successful meeting under, as we all know, very difficult circumstances. We also would like to assure the Secretariat and the incoming office holders of our continued support. I thank you.
I thank you, South Africa. Argentina, please.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Brevemente, mi delegación quisiera agradecer a la presidencia y a su equipo por la excelente labor realizada en la conducción de esta conferencia y de su proceso preparatorio, sobre todo por la forma en que manejó las decisiones que no pudieron ser adoptadas en la sexta conferencia de Estados partes. También quisiéramos agradecer a la Secretaría, como siempre, por su apoyo y profesionalismo. Le deseamos el mayor de los éxitos a Alemania en la conducción de la octava conferencia de Estados parte, así como a los vicepresidentes electos en el día de hoy. Encomendamos especialmente la tarea del señor Tom Nix, de Bélgica, presidente del Foro de Intercambio de Información sobre Desvío, y esperamos que las condiciones estén dadas lo antes posible para que el foro pueda comenzar a sesionar. Mi delegación no tiene dudas de la enorme contribución que este nuevo órgano será a la comunidad del ATT. Finalmente, quisiéramos agradecer los esfuerzos de todos los Estados parte en la promoción y universalización del Tratado de Comercio de Armas. Como copresidentes del Grupo de Trabajo de Universalización del Tratado durante la sexta y la séptima conferencia, la Argentina quisiera reiterar su compromiso con la promoción del tratado y redoblar sus esfuerzos en pos de obtener el mayor número de ratificaciones posible, sobre todo por parte de los estados que constituyen los mayores exportadores y importadores de armas convencionales. En ese sentido, la Argentina quisiera manifestar su compromiso de apoyar las tareas de universalización que estarán a cargo de usted, señor presidente, como copresidente del Grupo de Universalización y el nuevo presidente de Alemania. Muchas gracias.
I thank you very much, Argentina. I don't have any other delegation on my list, but before, Republic of Korea, please. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to join the other delegations, thanking you, the President of CSP7, for bringing the conference to successful outcome. Also, I would like to thank the Secretariat, all the preparations for the conference. And I'd like to also congratulate Germany as the president designate for the CSP, the 8th, and also the other 4 vice president. Korea has been greatly interested in the work of the ATT. So, and that's the part of the region we applied for the management committee. And for 2 years, we are supposed to serve in the committee, and we feel very privileged, and then feel the great responsibility to contribute to the work of the ATT. And we are looking forward to working very closely with the office holders and other member states. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Republic of Korea. We will, there's another. Thank you very much, Excellencies, delegates. I am now moving forward to closing this presidency, the CSP7 presidency. And I would like to begin by thanking. Oh, I think Germany wants to say something, and before I close down.
Mr. President, are we in agenda item 12 now? I mean, I understand that you really want to close the conference.
I'm not. It's a sort of statement. I'll finish. It's an entire statement I'm making. I'm coming to Germany.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Thank you. I'm being reminded by the Secretariat that Germany may not be ready immediately for an abrupt closure. We can take a quick break, but we'll close the conference, and then I'll give the floor to the incoming president to make a statement, and then we end our day. So maybe we'll take 15 minutes break and come back.
And
Germany?
the other possibility would be that I give the final statement for Germany. If you really want to conclude the CSP7 now.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, let's all take a 15 to 20 minutes break, and then come back to the hall. Thank you. welcome back to the hall. So we will start in the next couple of minutes. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we now come to the most agreeable part, which is closing my presidency and handing over to an extremely competent successor. So let me begin by thanking you all for the very profound privilege of serving this great body as president for a whole year. We inherited a number of decisions that had not been approved, and that took quite a bit of our time. And I'm pleased that I'm handing over to a new president without any pending decisions. All decisions have been taken. So congratulations, you inherit a clean slate, and you have all the time in the world. I'm hoping also that the great pandemic, which slowed down our work, affected it quite negatively, will be through your presidency a thing of the past, or it will be minimized to the point that it doesn't really affect the work to that extent. So let me now thank the vice presidents who have been very stalwart in support, the management committee, the voluntary trust fund selection committee, the working groups chairs and facilitators, the ATT secretariat. Extremely collaborative work that we did together, extremely supportive, extremely competent. The conference service staff, as you can see, massively competent as well. The interpreters and security officers, all of them extremely vital to the successful run of this conference. I thank you all for your efforts and for the preparations that went into it. Thank you for a great conference. Before I close the meeting, I would like to invite Ambassador Thomas Gobel of Germany to come up the podium and address the conference as the president of the 8th conference, my very esteemed successor. Thank you, Ambassador Gobel. Welcome to the stage. I understand there is no real formal ceremony of handing over the staff. In my village, it is done in a more grand style, but but welcome, Excellency. Let me yield the floor to you, Ambassador. Mr. President, this is your show. Thank you. Thank you all for the great support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, also for the warm and encouraging words you have for us and our task before us. So, Mr. President, oh yes, that's indeed a good idea. So you see me all. Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, on behalf of Germany, I'm glad to have the opportunity as elected president of the 8th Conference of States Parties to thank all states parties, civil society, and all other stakeholders for the confidence shown in my government, which I can assure you will remain most committed to strengthening the arms trade treaty in the year to come. Our warmest thanks go to the presidency of Sierra Leone in particular to you, Ambassador Gabri, and the ATT Secretariat for having prepared and most effectively accomplished CSP7 under the difficult conditions of the COVID-19 pandemic. You have done tremendous work, and I would congratulate once again for this achievement. Germany, together with the EU member states, was among those who signed and ratified the ATT at an early stage. Together with the EU member states, we helped to create and administer the Voluntary Trust Fund. Most recently, Germany enjoyed cooperating with colleagues from other member states in the Management Committee of the ATT, as well as the Voluntary Trust Fund Selection Committee. We have seen and heard promising examples during this week's conference about how states parties to the ATT are working to further enhance implementation of the treaty, despite the persistent negative effects of the ongoing pandemic. This momentum needs to be maintained as we further develop the ATT. During the CSP8 cycle, the German presidency will focus on three major subjects. So first, the universalization of the ATT, which, as we all know, remains a challenge. Also, 110 states are parties to the treaty, and a further 31 have signed it. A number of important arms producers have not formally pledged their commitment to the ATT, and we will certainly work relentlessly to convince those states and a number of bystanders that it is in their very own interest and that of their people to help create a binding legal framework for international arms transfers. In this regard, we also welcome very warmly the announced accession of Gambia to the treaty. Second, stock taking with regard to achievements and successes, as well as with regard to shortcomings in implementation, which certainly exist. We have tasked CIPRI with a study on the first 6 years of the ATT, its organs, its working groups, its outreach, and everything else. We will be happy to divulge the respective fundings and stimulate a debate on how to reach the goals we've set ourselves when drafting this treaty. Thirdly and finally, we would like to sponsor a thematic discussion on the subjects of one-side verifications and post-shipment controls during our presidency. Germany considers post-shipment controls to be an effective instrument and confidence-building measure to fight illicit trade in conventional arms and to prevent their diversion. An obligation all states parties have undertaken in accordance with Article 11 of the treaty. Germany has introduced post-shipment controls for a certain number and certain categories of arms, especially those that are easily divertible, such as small arms. We would be pleased to share our experience, which we regard as an effective measure to build confidence between exporting and importing states. We would like to start a process encouraging others to develop similar practices. Mr. President, allow me a last more personal remark. My delegation and me personally were very deeply impressed by the commitment and engagement of all delegations present and contributing to the discussions the last days. I'm convinced that together we will succeed in upholding and further strengthening the treaty, making it the gold standard for both armed exporters and importers, and thus an important element of an effective multilateralism and a rule-based order. Germany stands ready to contribute to this goal and looks forward to your ongoing support and engagement. I'm personally looking forward to working with all of you during the now upcoming CSP8 cycle And I thank you for your support and confidence already in advance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador Bell. Thank you for your kind words, and I wish you very well as you assume your responsibility. And I want to pledge my support and commitment to you, to your presidency, especially on universalization. We will work very closely with you to make it a success. Thank you very much. Now the Secretariat has a few announcements to make. I'll yield the floor before I finally take my exit and go get a good sleep. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates, good afternoon, and I would like to make the final announcement for this conference. It's about the side events that will be taking place after this conference. We have two side events that will be taking place, and they are organized by different entities. The first one, I'll ask my colleagues to put that on the board, if at all possible. But the first side event is hosted by Control Arms. It goes under the title, The Impact of Irresponsible Arms Transfers on Current Conflicts. It is hosted by Control Arms. The second side event taking place at the same time, 4:30 to 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., is hosted by the Inter-Parliamentary Union under the title, Interactive Panel of Experts on the Potential of Parliamentary Processes to Advance the Universalization of the ATT. So these side events will be taking place after this closure of this meeting at 4:30 to be specific. We are invited to join them, and the links to join these events are on our website, ATT website. Tomorrow morning, there is another side event taking place. It's online. Even if you're not here in conference, you can still join it. It will take place between 11 o'clock and 12:15. It is hosted by the Parliamentary Forum on Small Arms and Light Weapons under the heading or title, Parliamentary Action to Enhance the Universalization and Implementation of the ATT, and for the eradication of the uncontrolled proliferation of small arms and light weapons. So those are the side events for today and tomorrow morning. The next point I wanted to make an announcement about is about the statements. Delegations have made statements here, and we are inviting delegations to provide those statements in electronic format to the Secretariat to be uploaded on the ATT website. And thirdly, concerning the final report, the Secretariat then would on Monday circulate the final report as adopted by conference to all delegations, as well as it will be posted on the website. So the report will be circulated and posted on the website. The video recordings of the proceedings of this meeting are gradually being posted on the website. But of course, we are trying to catch up with the backlog. There's a lot of production that still has to happen in terms of refinement of the videos. But I am informed that some of them are already on the website, and those of yesterday and today maybe will be available tomorrow or the following week on Monday. So you can have access to them definitely from next week moving forward. Mr. President, and finally, what I would want to say on behalf of the Secretariat is for us to express our profound gratitude to the President, to the Vice Presidents, and all other office holders for the support they have given us throughout the preparation for this conference and during the course of this conference itself. We are very much appreciative of that. And we pledge our support to the continued support of state parties in the implementation of their obligations under the treaty. Mr. President, those were the last announcements to make in this conference. Then I turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. Excellencies, delegates, as you may have noted, we are closing a day earlier, and that's in part due to the great diligence and effectiveness of the Vice President, who chaired the proceedings yesterday. That was extremely helpful. Before I close, I see that Sierra Leone has indicated that they will have a short statement in their national capacity. And it will not be me delivering that statement. Sierra Leone, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's just a privilege that we have been given the opportunity to serve, but the observations we wanted to make, we're finishing the main proceedings a day earlier. Just a question whether this is going to be whether this is going to be reflected in the report as conference ending on the 2nd rather than on the 3rd, but probably the Secretariat could respond to that aspect. The published dates, the 30th of August to the 3rd of September. But here on the formal proceedings, we're finishing a day early. Just that observation. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, he is asking that since on the draft report, there's an indication that the conference ends tomorrow, but it is ending a day earlier, that the final report will reflect the fact that it ends a day earlier with a new end date. Okay, on that happy note, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all, and I thank you, Germany, for taking on this role. I will be with you throughout your journey, inshallah. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you.